Hey guys, it's Vandiozo, back again with another card fight Vanguard deck profile. So if you guys enjoyed, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and join the Patreon. And let's get one started. Today we have Lyrical Monasterio, Acestus, Wallista, Felt Rose deck profile. When I say that, I do not mean I'm gonna shove all three deck profiles together into one hour-long deck profile. I mean I have done what everyone else has done and take Willista cards, aka True Heart of Ruby and nothing else, Felt Rosa cards, and Acestus cards, shove them together into some weird mess that somehow works. Now, before we get this started, I want to make this point clear. I do not like this deck. I built it because my friend wanted me to use it against him. And then after that, I never used it again because I find this deck extremely boring. Or at least in my opinion, I find it extremely boring and very uncomfortable to play. But I'm still doing a deck profile on it anyways because it's a deck I have and might as well show it off to the world, especially because apparently some people really like seeing this. So, might as well make the people who like seeing this very happy. So time to go lie my face off about enjoying this. Okay, let's go ahead and get this started. First up, we have Acestus Mion. 6k base, 5k shield, grade 0 with boost, auto when it's rode upon. If you win second, you get to draw a card. Nothing too special about it. Standard starter. Here's why this is here. Because this deck does not require the specific starter. It requires a ride line. Technically it requires a ride line. It requires certain cards from a different ride line, but it doesn't require a specific starter, and because Khari is the main Vanguard, might as well make me on the starter. I would put Fel Rosa as the starter. I really would, just so everyone got support in it. But then I don't feel like it, because I don't like the Fel Rosa starter. So Mion gets the point here. I don't apologize for that. One copy of Mion. And then we have our Overtrigger and Mysterious Twins Romia and Rumia. 5k base, 50k shield, grade 0 with boost, overtrigger, you may have one overtrigger in your deck. When revealed does a trigger, remove that card, draw a card, choose one of your units, it gets plus 1 minute for the turn. If revealed during your draft check, activate its additional effect, I cannot talk, which is during this fight, you get, during your turn, all of your rear guards get plus 10. So, pretty much, that means all of your rear guards hit for plus 10 stronger, which means your columns hit for plus 20. So, a lot of big numbers happen. And in a multi-attack deck, that is very terrifying. And I really like this card. Not this one in particular, but the Overtrigger is really good. It has the long-lasting effect of just punishing the opponent. But what I hate about this in particular is it's too easy to pull off. And it's funny how I'm bringing this up in the Lyrical Monasterio deck I like the least, but it's too easy. Once you pull it off, it's kind of I'm not going to say it's a guaranteed win, but from what I've seen, ratio-wise, it's more likely that the Lyrical Monasterio deck will win comparatively because you're getting plus 20 to a column for the entirety of the game. The Dark States Overtrigger, when you pull it, it's not a guarantee you win. It just makes it easier because they have to guard the Vanguard more. I still see the Dark States deck lose on average 55%, win 55% over 45% loss rate, even when they pull the Overtrigger. This one I see win way too often with the second the Overtrigger is pulled. All honesty, I'm just saying, I'm not saying the Overtrigger is bad or anything, I'm just saying it ruins the gameplay for me once the Overtrigger is pulled, because at that point, it's more likely than not that the Lyrical deck's going to win. So one copy of Romia and Rumia, because it still provides that plus 10. 3 copies of Spirit Toroso Richadla. I cannot say her name for some reason, but this is all around my favorite card in the deck solely because if you know me, I like Inazuma 11. One of my favorite characters from Inazuma 11 happens to be named Ricardo Dorigo, who is also nicknamed the Virtuoso. Spirit Toroso is obviously a pun on Virtuoso, and both of their names start with Rick, so obviously this card is my favorite by default. 3 copies, it's a front trigger, we need the plus 10s to front row, even if one of the columns miss out on it, it's still nice to get the other column get that plus 10. 4 copies of Knowledge as Power Sasuke, so just a standard draw trigger, nothing too special about it, get your hand what you do need to call stuff. Then we have a crit in Glutton Nora. It's a crit. It forces the Vanguard to look more dangerous than it actually is, which all around is fair, because even the trial deck wise, Acestus hits for decently big numbers on its own, and then if you somehow when you combine it with Ghost, I don't know, maybe if it's just what I've been seeing, but somehow my numbers hit less without the trial deck somehow. Somehow the trial deck was hitting more on average. I don't know how, but for Glutton Nora, just because, and then we have for Languid Relaxation Margreta. If you can't tell, these are the Ghost trigger lineup because I wanted to at least have Felt Rose incorporated into something. Standard hero trigger, nothing too special about it. On to our last grade 0, but our main deck. 4 copies of the normal order True-Hearted Ruby, grade 0. Play this by counterblasting 1, draw 2, choose a card from your hand, discard it, put it to soul. So, this is the only card, no, not the only card, one of 3 cards you run that are actually a part of Willista's line, for some reason. Like, yeah, it's good, because, you know, you get the draw in a deck that does not counterblast as much, because that's what, that's what Khari does. It doesn't counterblast as much, so it's find ways to counterblast to draw 2, which gets you hand to call stuff later with, and then you have to discard 1, but then this also goes to a soul, and since Khari's Soul Blast, and since a lot of your backup cards Soul Blast, it's really nice to get that soul. I don't know why I was about to complain about this. I really like this. Like, this is honestly a really good card. It's in a deck that doesn't counterblast as much. It gets you soul, it gets you hand, 4 of. Grade 1s. Now, okay, this right here, I'm going to say this right now. Every deck I see almost has the same exact lineup in terms of grade 3s, grade 2s, and grade 1s. Mine is similar to those, except everyone has their own special, I'm just going to call it a tech option, where you kind of screw with it. In my opinion, this is the better tech option. There are a few, like maybe you want the Persona Red tech option. I don't run it because counterblast problems. If any of you know me, you know why I don't want to run the extra counterblaster. But you can use whatever you want with the space. I choose this unit. 2 copies of Blue-Haired Prodigy Recess. 3k base, 5k show, grade 1 with boost. Items placed on rear. Choose one of your other units. It gets plus 10 for the turn. So it just makes something stronger by 10 for a turn. But it's like a really good card. You can constantly bounce it. You can make your numbers slightly bigger, especially because the numbers don't feel as big as they used to be with other decks. Especially with my like actual Khari-based deck and Felt Rosa deck, somehow the numbers feel like they're smaller. So I don't know why. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't, and I'm just like not calculating wrong, but like it feels wrong. So I don't know, but Recess makes the attacks hit bigger, and especially because this is a deck made for multi-attack, that's really good. 2 copies. 4 copies of Join Grasp Ernesta, 8k base, 5k shield, grade 1 with boost, auto back or rear. When your other ghost is placed on rear during your battle phase, stand this unit. Okay, if you can't tell, this is why this is here. Because this unit is kind of like the main playmaker of it all, where you just constantly call ghosts with Khari's effects during the battle phase, restand it, and then you have a board. Like, you can get 5 attacks out of this if you play it smart. Maybe not 5. Is there a way to make it 5? I'm not so sure. There might be a way to make it 5. If there is, then... No, yeah, there is a way to make it 5. Yeah, there's a way to make it 5. I don't know. Sorry, I'm trying to calculate this out. Yes, there's a way to make it 5, and this thing is a part of it, or not necessarily a part of it to make it 5 attacks, but basically acts as an infinite booster, making your attacks stronger, and is partially the reason why this deck exists in the first place. 4 of, it is literally in every version of this deck. If you play this deck, you have to run it at 4. 4 copies of our PG and Diva Refreshing Calm Christine. 6k base, grade 1 boost, 0 shield, continuous sentinel. You may only have up to 4 sentinels in your deck. Auto, when it's placed on guard circle, choose one of your units. It cannot be until in a battle. If your hand has 2 or more cards, choose a card from your hand, discard it. Basically what that means, if this is only one other card in your hand, you don't have to discard for its discard cost when you would place it, which is really nice. Meaning you can be as aggressive as you want with the deck and still have the PG there to defend you, even if it's the only card in your hand. All around, really good. Definitely not a situation I come into often, mainly because every time I use this deck, I don't draw PGs. And when I say I don't draw PGs, I mean I draw 1 in my opening hand, and then I damage check the rest if any decide to show up. I don't know why. I think this deck is honestly cursed for me. I don't understand why it does this to me, but it does. I just deal with it and move on. 4 copies of Christine, really good. She's an amazing PG, if only I saw her more when I actually played this build. 1 copy of our last grade 1 in our grade 1 of the ride line, Proof of Effort Wallista. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, auto once wrote upon, put a card from your hand to soul. Search your deck for up to 1 gem card, reveal it, put it to your hand and shuffle your deck. Auto rear when you play an order. Soul Blast when it gets plus 5 for the turn. So, pretty much, the ability that's never going to go off. It gets plus 5 if you play an order. It's never going to be on rear for that to happen, but if it was, it'd be a 13, but also that'd be a bad thing, because once more, you do have somewhat of a soul. You don't have a major soul problem, but a soul problem nonetheless that probably shouldn't be here. And then, you know, the other ability, which is shove a hand card to soul. Oh, look at that. Free soul card for Khari, and you get a gem card. So basically you get your ruby, and then you can use your ruby to draw more cards. All around, really nice grade 1, an amazing grade 1 to have in the ride line, 1 copy. On to our grade 2s. 3 copies of Dedicated Serenade Eleanor. 10k base, 5k shield, grade 2 with intercept, auto rear, when it attacks, soul blast 2. This unit gets plus 15 for the battle. At the end of the battle, put it to the top of the deck. You didn't think Khari was the only one in the deck that could soul blast, did you? This is the other one. Or, like, there are a few more. But, yeah, the soul blast 2 kind of comes up to bite you. But that 25 on swing, even without a booster, plus this thing as your booster, that's 33. And the best part is, it puts itself to the top. And the thing with Khari is that I don't think Khari does it specifically, but I know her support card requires you to call to open rearguard circles. This opens up a rearguard circle for you if you can't tell. What you're supposed to do, swing with the column, make sure this and this are in the other column, and then what you do, swing with Khari after the other column swung, use Khari, soul blast, bounce the rested column, do your drive checks, give any triggers to this thing in Khari. Afterwards, Khari's Persona Right skill, call the 2 cards back to the same column again, just in different rows. Boom. Actually, wait, sorry. This doesn't stand, unfortunately, because it's already rested. I mean, it's still standing, but it's still a good thing because you can swing with this, Soul Blast 2, goes to top, plus 15, doesn't matter. Then you use Khari's support card, swing, counterblast, call something from hand, hopefully it's a ghost. Boom, this thing stands, you got more attacks. All around, this thing is very deadly, combined with this, and the only downside to it is a Soul Blast of 2. But either way, it's really good, 3 of. 4 copies of Khari's support card, which is required for this to go off. Brilliance and Elegance Aerith, 10k base, 5k shield, grade 2 with intercept. Auto rear when this unit attacks while boosted, if your Vanguard assists Khari, counterblast 1 to 1 card from your hand and call it to an open rearguard circle. The only negative to this is that it must be called to an open rearguard circle. But it's still, honestly, pretty good because, you know, you get the ability to get an extra rearguard out, and especially in a deck that can just kind of, like, make your front rearguards disappear. Like, yeah, we've only seen 1 unit that can disappear, but there are 2 more that can just disappear out of nowhere. So, opening up rearguards, giving you 5 attacks on Persona Right turn, with all of them hitting in the 30s, all around, really good. I love Aerith in a combo with this, especially because besides Ruby, it's the only other card in the deck that counterblast. So when you only have 2 cards in the deck that counterblast, you basically get freedom of however you want to use them. So 4 copies of Aerith. And then 1 copy of our last grade 2 in the grade 2 of the ride line, Expanding World Wallista, 10k base, 5k shield, grade 2 with intercept. Yes, we only run 7 grade 2s, but they still work out pretty well. Auto Van, the ability you run it for when you play a gem card, draw a card. Basically meaning, when you would ride this on top of this, and you use its skill to search your deck for a Ruby, use the Ruby, draw 2, discard 1, shove the Ruby to soul, use this, draw another card. You just get 2 draws, technically you get 3 draws, you get 2 soul, setting up for Khari, and the skill that's never going to go off because it's always going to be a soul, and even if you soul blast it, there's nobody to get it back into hand. Continues guard circle, this unit gets plus 5k shield for every 2 gems in your drop zone. So if somehow you got this into your hand, honestly, that would be pretty good. Heck, I would consider this like possibly being a tech option over Lies, you know, Recess, just to get like extra 20k shield if you have 8 orders, not 8 orders, but you have to have 4. So the most you could get is this to be a 15k shield, but a 15k shield is still better than nothing. So all around, well, this is a really good card, and I would even suggest like maybe making it the tech over Recess because A, it still works on guard circle. It doesn't have to. It can intercept. It can be thrown from hand. All around, it'll just be an extra grade 2. So 1 copy of it in the ride deck, but if you want to make it the tech option, go ahead. Grade 3 time. 3 copies of Caprico of Circulating Star, Ingrid, 13k base, grade 3 turn Persona Ride, auto when it's placed on rear from other than your hand, countercharge 1, choose one of your other rear guards in the same column as it, and stand it. Yeah, so that ability is never going to go off because you're never going to call from hand. I mean, there is that one grade 1 that I see people run as tech, the 3k base one where it's on place, Soul Blast 1, look at the top card, call it, or put it to hand and discard 1. Problem is, that grade 1 also costs a Soul Blast, so already it's out of the question. So I'd rather, you know, just lose that ability out, but, you know, when the day comes that you could call this outside of hand, it's pretty good. And then auto rear, when this attacks, this unit gets plus 5 for the battle. At the end of the battle, you put it to bottom of deck. Yeah, but it's also here because it's a ghost, which means it could force restand this thing, so all around that's really helpful. But then also it can clear up your board, meaning you have more open rearguard circles, leading for more combos, and it still gets power out of it. That is why it's here. The first ability may never go off, but the second ability always will. 3 copies of Ingrid. It's really good. Get you power, get you an open board, can allow for more multi-attack. 3 copies of the obvious ace card in this deck for rearguard wise. Sorry, the grade 1 that is basically the main card. This is true. Selfie Practice Annalise, 12k base, grade 3 to Persona Ride, auto rear at the end of the battle, it attacked while boosted, put it to soul, choose one of your rear guards, and it gets +5 for the turn. Pretty much, shove it to soul, this becomes an 18, this becomes a 15 if it's on the board, this becomes a 15 with its own skill, that would just immediately jump to a 30. This becomes a 21 if the 11 if the somehow hit the board. This one becomes a 13, which is really good because it keeps it for the turn, which means if you do it early and it restands, it's just a constant 13k booster. And this thing, which is just an 8k, but yeah, you kind of want to give it to this thing. So all around, Annalise is pretty good. Gets you soul, opens up a rearguard circle, gets you power. If you put it on that grade 1, your opponent's going to be in for hell. 3 copies. And then 4 copies of our last normal unit and our last unit in the deck. In our main grade 3 of them in the main deck, 1 of them in the right deck of Acestus Khari. 13k base, grade 3 200 Persona Ride, auto van. When it attacks, Soul Blast 1, choose up to 2 rear guards and bounce them to hand. So it doesn't have to attack the Vanguard, it can attack a rear guard for that to go off, and you get 2 rear guards back. You don't have to get 2, you could just get 1, or you could just Soul Blast to Soul Blast just to get cards and drop. Either way, really good. You can use it to bounce a column, and that's other ability, Auto Van. At the end of the battle attack, if you Persona Road, choose up to 2 cards from your hand, call them to different rows. And rear to different rows. So they don't have to be open rearguard circles like I thought. They can be closed, they can be rearguard circles with units on them, but they do have to be in different rows. So one has to go in front, one has to go in back. Either way, really good. You don't have to call 2, by the way. You can call 1, but still. Either way, really good. Get you mode to attack, get you the ability like bounce it back to hand, especially because in early rushes you could just call a PG, bounce it. They know you have a PG, but you got like an early rush out of it. So all around, Khari does work. She gets you like a board. She gets you like half the units that you commit into attacking with back. She can get you more attacks, and she does it at a pretty decent number. Like trial deck wise, she's also really good. So all around, amazing grade 3. I like her. She's really fun. She's honestly the only reason why I actually built this deck in the first place, solely because I actually like Khari. So 3 of in the main deck, 1 of in the right deck. And that's it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. All around, I did say at the start of the video the deck isn't my favorite. That doesn't mean it's not, or like I don't find it fun either. But that doesn't mean it's not fun for other people. It is, in its own right, fun. It has the Ruby, which I like, because I like the grade 2 turn a lot, because it just gives you the 3 draws, and it gives you the the 2 soul. I like just Khari in general being able to, like, be the main playmaker, because in all honesty, yes, the grade 1 is, like, the main focus of the deck. The grade 1 is required for everything. If the opponent kills the grade 1, you have to find a way to make it up, because that's the reason why this deck exists. But Khari is, like, while that grade 1 might be, like, the main finisher, Khari is like the main setup or like the main playmaker where she makes everything possible and sacrifices anything to do so. So all around, there are ways I find this deck fun, there are ways I find this deck not fun. Personally, it's not my favorite deck. I just prefer regular Khari, regular Willista, regular Feltrosa instead of all together mismatched into one weird looking deck. But that's my opinion, everyone else has their own opinion. Either way, I hope you guys enjoy. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, jump to the Patreon, join the Discord, follow the Twitch, and I'll see you all in the next one. Don't forget to stand up your vanguards.